What's up, Glue Dots? I'm Elaine, the Midnight Crafter, and I've got a couple of really neat Valentine DIYs for you. So let's get crafting. To get started, we're going to remove all the contents from our frames so that we have all four just completely empty. And then I'm going to be taking this metallic gold Rust-Oleum paint and I'm going to be spray painting all of my frames so that they match the gold on my lettering here. If you like to do a different color, you can spray everything to coordinate too. That will work just fine. I decided to actually spray paint the little love sign as well, just to freshen it up a little bit and have it really match. So I'm going to put that aside for a moment. What we're going to be doing is putting the glass back inside of these frames and we're going to be gluing them into place. But I'm going to remove these little tabs first. Now I'm going to just clean all my glass with alcohol and paper towel. Now we're going to start gluing our glass back in place into our little frames, and we're going to do that by going on the back side, putting the glass in, and then running a bead of hot glue along this corner edge here, as far into the corner as you can to hold that glass into place. And go around all four sides. Then we're going to take our little love sign, and as cute as it is all together, we're going to break off some of the pieces. So the little loop up at the top is going to come off because we don't need that. You just jiggle it back and forth. And then we're actually going to break the letters apart as well. So right at the points where they have the soldering, just going to bend those back and forth until they separate. It's probably a good idea to do this before you spray paint if you do, because that way, in case there's any little spots that kind of show a little bit, you can spray paint those and it will look nicer. This V does not want to come off. I didn't think this was going to be that hard to pull apart. I really thought, like a lot of things that are soldered together, that it would come off easily. So some of these were a little hard to get apart, and you can see that I have that extra little piece here on the V and the extra piece on the L. And then also a couple of the parts, those are the parts that broke off of the O, but it's okay. This is going to kind of be camouflaged a bit with flowers. I'm going to touch these up with a little bit of spray paint and I'll be back. This next step, there are several different options for, so I'm going to tell you some of the ideas that I had, and you can choose what you like. One option is to just leave the letters plain and put them in place on here. So if you're somebody who is kind of a minimalist and likes simplicity, you can do that. So first of all, what we do need to do, regardless of what style we choose, we will want to glue our letters down. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to show you some of the ideas that I had for these letters. And I'm going to be using the E6000 for this and really trying to put a minimal amount of it onto the back side here of my letter. We don't want that to show through the glass on the front. So a little bit on here. These don't really have much weight to them. So you can see very little that I've put on there. And then this is something you're going to want to place really carefully, and once you put it down, don't move it because that glue will show after. So set it where you want it and make sure that it stays right there until it can get a good opportunity to dry. Glue each one of your letters into a different frame and then we'll move on. These are all dry, and now I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can decorate them. Now, here's a picture of them just on the wall plain. And there are some other options, as I said. One of the other options I thought was kind of cool looking, if you're sort of liking simplicity, is to take these little glass gemstones here and put those into place and glue them down. And if you do that, you kind of want to pick the right sizes of stones so that you can fit them in there nicely, because sometimes, as I said, they're bigger or smaller and they don't fit well. So this is one potential option. I'm going to show you how that looks on all of these. Here you can see them all filled in. I have not glued them into place because I haven't decided for sure which style I'm going to do. I wanted to show you this and also show you some options using flowers. So if you like more of a romantic type of look, these flowers, I believe I got them on sale probably at Joann's at the end of the spring season, or at Michael's, I think it was. But you also have some other options. Say, these are a bit foofy, just to let you know. These mums from Dollar Tree, they kind of overpower everything. So I wouldn't choose those, but some other options depending on your colors and the style that you like would be these, and I believe these are from Walmart. These are called Heather Spray, Purple Heather Spray Pick, and then there's the lavender that you can get at Walmart. So I'm going to show you a few different ways how those look, and then I'll settle in on one and get it done and show you it put up on the wall. Here's an idea of two of the different types of flowers in there. Now they're not necessarily perfectly placed or cut because I wanted you just to get an idea, but I'm going to also show you with these really pretty little roses as well. Well, are you enjoying what you're seeing so far? If you are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see more just like it. Also, you can follow me on social media. I have an Instagram, EP Midnight Crafter, and I'm on Pinterest, and also have a really fun Facebook group called Midnight Crafter Glue Dots. We'd love for you to join us over there and post some of your craft projects that you make too. Check the description box down below if you're interested in entering to win a really cute little bling owl keychain. I do that drawing the first of every month along with a live chat, which we have lots of fun there. All right guys, let's get back to crafting. For this project, I'm just going to remove the string and the love sign, and the string, you don't have to cut it off, it just slides right out of there. And the love sign, ideally if you have a spackle thing, that's the best thing. I'm too lazy to go get mine, so I'm just using this ruler. Don't worry about the paint peeling off of there or the paper peeling off, it's not a problem. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to be using this caulk from Dollar Tree to put on these stones, these little black pebbles here. So you're going to need to spread this out onto the surface here. I'm going to do it on the back side because it has a smoother surface, and if you'd like you can cut a bigger hole because you are going to want to kind of spread this out pretty well. So cut the hole a little larger. So I'm going to work in little segments at a time, and I have a piece of a craft stick here to help me to smooth the caulk out. I feel like this really holds the rocks into place, so I really like using this as opposed to Mod Podge. So I'm going to start up here. You can start anywhere and put a small amount on there. And this doesn't need to be spread on there very thick at all. Just enough to be able to get those stones to press in, because we do want the texture of the stones to show, so you don't want it to be, you know, all puffed up with the caulk. You may want to wear gloves when you do this. It's up to you. I don't mind getting my hands a little gooey. I'm a very tactile person, so I kind of like all these different little weird feels. Now we're just going to dump some of the rocks on here. Same way you would with glitter. You can save the excess that falls off and reuse it, because some will definitely fall off. Press it into that caulk. And and dump off your excess. So basically we're just trying to give some texture. You're still going to see some of the white. I chose black stones so I can see the contrast, but you can really choose any color. Also, I feel like the black will color better when I spray paint it. So go ahead and do the whole rest of the heart in this same way, and then we're going to have to let that sit and dry for a while. Now you can actually do bigger sections than what I started with, and that'd probably be easier. You might even be able to do the whole heart, but just be mindful that it's not starting to dry, that you're not being so slow and cautious with it that it's drying and you're not going to be able to get those stones to stick after. But do as much as you feel comfortable with at one time. If you have a tray or a tub to do this in, you know, it would probably be a lot less messy. But so it'll pretty much take you one entire bag per side if you choose to do both sides of your heart. I'm going to let this dry really well, and then we will move on to the next step after that. Now, if you choose to do both hearts, that would be great. It'll just make this double-sided, or you can choose to do one depending on how you're going to be displaying it. I've gotten these not completely dry, but to the point where they're dry enough that we can spray paint them. So I'm going to be spray painting these with my Rust-Oleum metallic gold spray paint, and then they're going to really need a good long time to dry, and then after that we'll move on to the next step. But you do want to give them some good dry time with that gold paint. I am loving the way this heart is looking. Well, these hearts is actually two. Super cool. I don't know if you guys can see it as well from there, but anyway, the next step that we're going to work on is making a stand for this. So what I'm using here is one of the hanging little ornament pieces. I went out, drilled my hole. It's a 3/8 inch hole, and I'm going to use my hot glue here and put some right inside down in that hole. And shove that dowel in there. So this is what's creating the base for our heart to stand up on. And now a couple things we're going to be spray painting. We are going to be spray painting this with this Rust-Oleum metallic gold spray paint. We're also going to be spray painting our box with that as well, and part of the wire. So I put a little piece of Scotch tape just over the switch so that our switch doesn't get gunky with spray paint, and also over this first little bulb here, because we are going to be using that to spray paint this part of the cord and the box with this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of our tumbling tower blocks, and it doesn't matter what color they are or any of that, but we're going to be putting those around as spacers to leave a space between the two hearts so we can put our gemstones around. So for this, I suppose you probably could just use hot glue, but I don't know. I guess I'm a little paranoid and want to make sure that everything stays in place. So I'm actually just going to use both and put them on. Now you don't necessarily need them to be super close to the edges. Just sort of around and on there and spacing everything out a bit. The one place you don't want to put them is right here, because eventually our dowel is going to be going in here. So you want to make sure you leave that space open. Okay, now I'm going to glue my dowel in place. So I'm going to put my glue on there, again using both. And I'm just leaving a few inches here, not too much at the bottom there. Not so much stick that your lights will not reach up there, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But I'm going to actually add some extra hot glue on top, because I really want to make sure this is secure and sturdy. This is what's going to be holding the whole project together. Now we're going to glue the lights on here. So this is, I'm going to remove my little piece of Scotch tape that I had covering my switch. And then I'm also going to take off my little piece here covering my light. And then if you'd like to, you can either glue this battery pack down or just have it resting. At the moment, I'm not going to glue this on yet. What I'm going to do is glue my lights into place first. So this is more so that I know exactly where to start gluing the lights, and I know now that my first one has to go right about here. So I'll put some glue down. Then I'm just going to go around and put the lights, kind of space them evenly, and this is what's going to shine through our little glass gems. I can't wait to see this all done. I'm so excited. I'm not quite there yet, but we will be. And then get those all glued down. The next step after gluing those lights down is we're going to be attaching on the other heart on top here. So the same way we glued those pieces down, we're going to add glue to the tops now of our Jenga pieces, and then we're going to put that other heart right on top. Line your heart up really, really well, because once you set this down, it is down. Now this battery pack, figure out whatever works best for you. I'm going to wrap a couple times around my dowel rod and then just try and find a nice place where I can attach this. Now do remember, of course, you need to access the switch and the batteries, so make sure you do leave that part accessible so that you can change out your batteries. And don't forget that it needs to be flush with the bottom. I almost glued it on wrong because it's going to be standing up. So, all right, now that that's in place, we're going to start gluing on our little glass gemstones here. And with this, you're going to probably want to use E6000 and hot glue as well, because obviously when we have them here on the sides, or if we do this standing up, however you choose to do it, we are going to need to have them not be sliding. So as we glue them in place, we're fine with these up here, but as we come around, just because of gravity, we are probably going to want to use our hot glue too, just to help hold those while they're drying. I would suggest finding the largest of your gemstones this time, because they will have a better reach across to bridge across to both sides of the hearts and to hold themselves into place. I'm starting here in the top center, and I'm going to be adding the E6000 onto the one side of my gemstone and the hot glue to the other side. Now it may be easier to put the glue directly onto the piece. I don't know, you're going to have to sort of play with it and try and see what you can come up with, what works best for you. So we're going to go around and attach all of our gemstones just like that. So one side with E6000, one side with hot glue. This is going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to look so amazing.